Hey guys, my name's Sam and welcome to Paramedic. In this week's video, we're gonna go through what I have on me, including my chest rig, for ambulance operations on a fire line. So as many of you guys know, I've already done a video on my Hill People Gear chest rig and kind of how I was using it in the SAR application. However, I've used it a couple times since then and my gear is always evolving. So I've kind of revamped what I've had in here. I've spec'd it out a little bit more for the fire line operation because I'm out here for 2 weeks straight. So this week we're going to give kind of an update on this and then it'll be a good opportunity for you guys to see how it's held up over the last 6 months or so. I'll also kind of cover what I have on me. This is going to be part one of a 2-part series. Next week, I hope to be going through my revamped backcountry kit because I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. I've changed it around and I think it would be good to see kind of what I've discovered and kind of the lessons learned from actually using it for the last couple months. So without further ado, let's start getting into this kit. All right, so right up front, I have the radio pouch. Now this is actually a radio pouch from Team Wendy that comes with their chest rig. I am not using their chest rig out here just because it's not meant to hold that many supplies. And I really wanted something that could actually hold a couple sustainment items just in case I had to ditch my pack or something else happened. I at least still have this on me. So that's what the radio pouch is. And then that's secured on the 3 MOLLE loops on the front of here. It's diagonal, which on my normal radio that I'm using for search and rescue is great. For this big block BK radio, I have noticed that the antenna does stick out kind of far, which is fine for normal like walking, hiking, and everything like that. But when I get into the ambulance to drive it, I'm hitting it with my arm. So it's kind of an issue there. Now, I should clarify that we are not line medics up here. We have an ambulance. So everything I'm carrying is basically meant to be able to be hiked for a mile or two, but we're not really packed for the true wilderness spiked out in the middle of nowhere. We are supported by an ALS unit. That being said, we do have that potential, so we have to be prepared to kind of intervene in a variety of different situations. So getting into the pack itself, I've got medic patch. This one was made by First Spear. You can get them from their website. And then I also have an affiliate link for another patch panel company, and you can get some money off and save on that if you're looking to get some custom patches made. In this front pocket here, I've got a number of things. Mainly, this is my minor stuff in this front pocket. So this flap doesn't open that far. First and foremost, in the front, I have the incident response pocket guide. This is just kind of tells us what to do if various things happen on the fire line. It's a safety issue, so something that pretty much everybody needs to have on them or very close to them on the fire line. And then next to that, and probably the thing that I've used the absolute most since I've been out here, is a Right and Rain notepad. Now, I use this. They give us GPS coordinates for where we're responding to because not all of these are street addresses. So I have to write that down really quick so that I can remember it and put it in the application we're using to actually find those coordinates. So write that down, write patient information down, especially with our electronic reporting not working super great. I generally have to do a little bit of documentation on here and then bring it back in the ambulance and do our electronic reporting after the fact there. Next to that, I have a pen. Now, some people pointed out they're saying, well, a gel pen won't write on those. I have not had any issues, so I carry a gel pen just because they write pretty nice and I like them. And then next to that, I have the Boo Boo kit from one of Live the Creed's kits, and once again I have a code for them that can save you I think 10% off, and then I just supplemented this with some other things. So in here I've got a lighter, and yes, I know it's not a super fancy outdoor lighter, but it'll get the job done, especially because it's in a waterproof case. I have some toenail clippers, a tweezer set to get stuff out. There is a CPR shield in here, a tampon, a bunch of Band-Aids, and then it's got some bacitracin, some anti-itch cream, and some other antibiotics if somebody gets hurt or cut or something like that. This also has a couple iodine tablets so I can purify water if the need arises. So that just sits right up here, and they're just easy to access, but they're kind of out of the way of the rest of the kit. All right, coming into the main pocket of the kit. In here, I've kept relatively similar to how it was before with just a couple additions. So I have the Blue Force Gear Tourniquet Now holder here because it doesn't really need to be in a case if it's inside this chest rig itself. I like to keep a tourniquet on me just because that's one of those life threat interventions that you need to get done really quickly, so I keep that on me. I have a Leatherman multi-tool here, and then I have the Phoenix Lights LD30. So I've been using this for a while, and they actually donated a bunch of these to our all hazards response team as a thank you for using this flashlight. And I do actually really love this flashlight. It's super, super bright, ton of lumens, lots of different settings, and it's rechargeable, which is the biggest plus for me. So I've been using the LD30 in here. I'll leave a link below to all these things I mentioned, so if you're interested, you can pick them up. And then next to that, I carry my Raptor trauma shears. I kind of exclusively carry them in here just because they are kind of heavy for the belt, and I don't really need something that folds up when I'm wearing my normal EMS pants. So it's nice to have this in here because it's just so compact, and then I have easy access to them. Right here, I've got a Soul emergency bivvy, just in case stuff goes sideways and I'm ending up camping out here for a long period of time. I at least have this on me. It can keep me warm, keep me alive for a period of time, and you can make a shelter, cloak out of it, whatever you need to keep you warm overnight. In the front, in these two pockets here, I have basically the contents of an IFAK. So I've got the NAR mini responder, which is just a compression bandage. I've got a set of hyphen chest seals in there. And while, you know, this kind of resembles what I'd say is like a tactical kit, there's a lot of stuff that can happen out here. You know, you do have a lot of debris flying, heavy machinery, things like that, you know, chainsaws. So having stuff to stop bleeding quickly is very important. On the other side, I'm carrying an MPA, and that has lube on the back of it. It's a size 28 French, which is kind of the standard size for an adult. And pretty much everybody out here is going to be an adult, so I don't really have to worry about sizing them too much. I have a thing of combat gauze, Quick Clot. I did a video 2 weeks ago about this and comparing it to normal gauze. Very much the standard of care. I always recommend you carry some Quick Clot on you. And then last but not least, next to that, I am carrying an ARS needle for your needle decompressions. Now, zipping this back up. The final pocket on this kit is kind of closer to the body, and it's meant more for concealed carry generally, but of course I do not carry out here. There's really no need. In here, I've got my leather gloves, my Fireline gloves, in case I need to throw them on or do something. For me, I've been using these a lot to like erect tents at camp. You know, a lot of the fibrous ropes you're using can splinter and cut your hand and fingers. So I've been using these, and then I still have the signal mirror and a compass in the back for navigation. Generally, if we're going somewhere, I'll pick up a map and put it in here, but the service area we're covering is pretty large, so a paper map isn't really that viable for just being this general. I do have an app on my phone that's completely offline that will give me coordinates where I need to go. And then last but not least, I have a whistle, a cheap compass, and then it's got some matches in it just in case the lighter doesn't work. And that all sits in this back pocket pretty close to my body. All in all, this kit's awesome. It's held up well. I've had it on a number of missions. You kind of forget it's even there. And what I really like about it is it just stays on you. It's not like a backpack where you're taking it off. I can access everything right here. If for whatever reason we were running from a fire and I had to dump my pack, I at least still have some items to sustain me for a period of time right on my persons. And that's really convenient to be able to hold your radio right up front instead of putting it on your belt. I try to avoid putting whatever I can on my belt just because hiking, it gets kind of annoying. So now going through kind of the other stuff I have on me, it's a little bit more underwhelming. When I'm just at camp or, you know, in a safe zone where I am now camp's right over there. I do not have my helmet on or anything, but we are issued hard hats to be used if we actually are going on the fire line or somewhere that's dangerous. Of course, we always want to protect our heads, and these have a high-powered headlamp on them for use in those situations. In addition to that, for the potential helicopter operation, we are carrying goggles on us because this is actually a requirement that you need ceiling goggles to get on a helicopter. While we do not primarily function on a helicopter, there are situations where you might have a firefighter go down up in the mountains, and they'll pick you up at camp and take you to them to act kind of as a line paramedic for them and get them off the mountain with some medical care involved. And then last but not least, I haven't figured out a super great way to carry this with this kit, so I have been kind of putting it on my belt. Anytime we are away from the ambulance or camp, we have to be carrying fire shelters. This thing's pretty heavy and bulky, so I've just been strapping this on my belt and going from there. So we always have the fire shelters on us if we're away from camp. Couple last things, neck gaiter. One, it's good for kind of the smoke. Two, they've got a ton of COVID restrictions, so you have to basically wear a mask all the time while you're up here if you're around people at camp, so I keep this on me. And then I just find it's easiest to have your own headlamp, and I just keep this around my neck all day, just because, if you have it in a kit, you kind of forget it, and then it's dark out, now you don't have it. So I keep this up here, and then especially, if we're going into a dark area, I have it right there. Sunglasses, of course, and then my protective clothing, of course, everything. The undershirt has to be cotton. It can't be anything synthetic, anything that'll melt on you. These shirts and pants are Fireline shirt and pants. They're pretty standard across the board, fire resistant, but of course they're not going to give you the same protection as structural firefighting gear. They do allow you to move and breathe because this is a lot more active for a prolonged period of time. As far as my boots, I actually forget the brand of these, but I wouldn't recommend them. A ton of people have been asking me about them, and they've taken about 3 weeks to break in of solid wear, and they're still kind of giving me some blisters, so haven't been a super big fan of those. You guys, like I said, I will be doing a part 2 video that'll go over my wilderness medical bag that I'm carrying and some of the updates I've done with that. I hope to release that next week, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions about this or anything else I'm carrying, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next week.